Okay, well, welcome everyone. My name is David New, and the other side is Boaz Ashkenazi. We're the co-founders of SuperSmall, and we're delighted to have Mark Freeman with us today and to share his innovative approach to building the demand gen flywheel using Reddit to LinkedIn to build a pipeline. So when I first heard about it, I was really, quite frankly, blown away. I wanted him to be a speaker here. So let me just start by giving you a little bit of background on SuperSmall and why we're hosting these events. So this is Boaz and myself, and combined, we've got over about 50 years of startup experience. Oh yes, and if you since this is more like a group room, if you're not talking, if you can put yourself on mute, that just makes it a little bit crisper for everyone else to hear. We are startup founders and operators, so we're not doing theory. We've been through it. We've eaten glass like everyone else has who's an actual operator. And the reason why we got inspired to start SuperSmall is because we believe that the AI tsunami is underestimated by government, by the private sector, and just generally. And we want to give people a pathway forward to surf the tsunami versus getting crushed by it when it comes by. And I think it really requires three main aspects. One is learning how to use AI skills like vibe coding, the LLMs. You're going to see that when Mark brings us through his process. And then two is just general entrepreneurial skills. You can't vibe code customers and revenue. You still have to go out and talk to people. You have to think about pricing, packaging, and sales. So we teach those skills as well. And then of course it's the community, right? Like the adage is, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. That's why we help each other out at the SuperSmall community. So, I'll just end with, we have forums where people can post questions. We have an AI prompt library. We have all the other videos that we've done and monthly learning events, and also monthly AMAs and accountability groups that are included when people subscribe and become a founder and part of our community. But I would just end with, it's not the right fit for everyone. The founders community is not the right fit if you're not serious about starting something, or you've got everything figured out. That's great. Just keep doing it. But if you're getting stuck, a little sand in the gears, or you're feeling alone and you need a community, that's when I think the SuperSmall community is incredibly vibrant. And then just a little bit of housekeeping. This recording will go out live so that you folks don't have to worry about frantically taking notes. You will all get a copy of it. We will have some live polls just to make sure that we get the tenor of the room so that we're able to have the right context in the presentation. And Mark will share his screen, and he's doing no slides. And I will have to say is, I know when I share my live screen, especially when I'm relying on the internet and LLMs and other tools, it's taking a risk. But he's willing to take the risk because he told me, David, when he sits in the audience, he knows he gets the most value when he sees the presenter doing that. So I really applaud Mark. And when he was walking me through it, we had no issues. So hopefully we won't have any issues today. So with the live demo. And with that, I did want to dive in and introduce Mark. So this is Mark on LinkedIn. And one of the first things I remarked when I see Mark is, one, he's always got tons of energy and that smile, and you're going to see that intensity, and you just want to be on the same side of the table with him. But then the second thing is he's got 65,000 followers. I'm like, wow, that's an asset that he has. But the thing that was crazy is how vulnerable he is. Even though he's like, oh, I've got 65,000 followers, he could be beating his chest. He was incredibly vulnerable, and he shared this. And this is the screenshot of an email when him and two co-founders applied for Y Combinator. And he got rejected, right? So I'm just going to read a little bit of it. Unfortunately, we decided not to fund blank this batch. It was a hard decision, as we've enjoyed speaking with you, and you're clearly an impressive founding team with a strong mix of skills. We also believe that building software for the pharmacy market is a big opportunity for lots of room for innovation. However, we made the decision because we worry you're not solving your own problem here. That's how the best startups ideas usually come about. In this case, we're worried you're overly reliant on pharmacists telling you what to build, right? So I'm not going to read all of it in detail, but you get the idea about Mark is an open book because he truly wants to help other people. And nowadays, I'll give you the kind of short bio spiel. Is Mark is a developer turned GTM strategist who systematizes demand generation into a repeatable process. He currently leads DevRel and go to market at Gable, a Series A data infrastructure company where he built a category defining shift left data movement. And I'm sorry, if you're not speaking, if you can put yourself on mute, that just makes sure that the quality is good for everyone. He's also the author of an O'Reilly published technical book and maintains a 65,000 LinkedIn following that is built through discipline, expertise driven content, not virality hacks. So, one of the reasons why we're having this is he doesn't want you all to fall into that same pitfall that he did with Y Combinator. So, he wants us to think about validate demand first, extract real world context from communities like Reddit, and turn that context into a repeatable pipeline, like using it on LinkedIn, and then building a lightweight system to track that. So the next thing before I bring Mark on is we're going to have a small poll. So if all of you folks can just take a snapshot of that and answer it. And while they're doing that, Mark, I wanted to ask you, what was your reaction when you saw that email initially, and how do you feel when I just shared it now?
Yeah, I mean, I have such mixed feelings. First of all, thank you for having me here, and hello, everyone. But yeah, mixed feelings. Mixed feelings because it was two interviews with them, and so I was like, for sure, we're in. They're talking to us again. This is great. And then kind of crush. But then the other side of it is once you get into YC, the jump into becoming a founder becomes very real. Now there's money involved, and that part was really scary. And looking back, I don't think I was ready back then, and I think I knew that myself. So I felt like almost a sense of relief in a way. And seeing the email today, I look at that email periodically all the time, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of those like defining moments and kind of my journey. But because it was just so thoughtful and kind to give that such targeted feedback, they didn't have to do that, and it's wrong true. Every time I read it, I'm like, yep, I've seen that again. And funny enough, the reason why I chose working at Gable was from that experience. I joined as employee one, and the co-founder was very convincing. He convinced me to quit my job the next day with no contract or anything at all.
Wow.
But I felt so much conviction because they avoid the mistakes I made. They did 300 plus user interviews. They talked to various people in the industry. They went and built a community. They did
Mm-hmm.
all these things, and I was like, I have to learn. I see these best practices. I get to put into practice now with
Mm-hmm.
this job, and so that's where a lot of this is coming from. Is all right. I've gotten some bruises. I thought about it, and
Yeah.
now I've spent the past 3 years really refining what is the practice to make sure not that it won't happen again, because you
Yeah.
never know, because the market's wild, but to have
Mm-hmm.
my best shot at it. And so that's kind of where I am in seeing that.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. And as people are still typing up their responses to their business idea or business thesis and who their ideal customer is, like that. If I remember, the YC was it 2020 or 2021?
It was 2020,
Okay, so
so
that's been
it was
6 years. What has, and then did you immediately say, I'm going to learn go to market and understand, validate first before I dive in because I like the feedback I was getting, or was it a slow process for you?
it was definitely a slow process. Again, I'm a technical person, so go to market is not the first thing I think of for that. And how I started getting more to the business side is as a developer, I want my code in production. And I got to a point where my code and technical skills were no longer enough for that. It was
Hmm.
the soft skills, the politics, the
Mm.
influence aspects of it, right?
Hmm.
And that requires selling. That requires understanding your market. Where is the small business, where or a larger kind of entity? And that's when I got really obsessed with, okay, how do I complement my technical skills with the business skills? And
Hmm.
go to market with the content creation and the other stuff I was doing, building funnels.
Hmm.
It really led into that, and the more I dived into it, the more I loved it. And so I actually like it just as much as data right now, which is kind of wild.
Yeah. And last question, and we're getting some really great responses from people about what they're working on in their ICP, because this will be, I'm going to use some of this to as inspiration when we do the hot seat and we take volunteers and Mark applies live what he's doing. Is what have you been focused on lately? I mean, you wrote a book with O'Reilly. It wasn't like self-published. Like that's pretty crazy. Like, so what are you doing? And right now that you're focused on? Because you're clearly doing a lot of GTM stuff, but is that your day job as well?
Yeah, so my day job is on the go-to-market side, but it's in the data infrastructure. So I blend my dev expertise with the go-to-market skills. And many times, developers are a little weird when it comes to marketing and sales. They hate it so much, and so you have to be very technical, and they have to trust you for that. So a lot of my methods are around empathy and trust because that's the only way that you get developers to really listen to you for this type of work. But in addition, outside of Gable, I do a lot of educational courses. So I do LinkedIn learning courses on data. Um, I'm also building on the side as well, my own open source projects and things along those lines. And then currently, I'm just doing market research on some of my ideas that I'm exploring, and just doing a whole bunch of user interviews myself, and then embedding myself into kind of the workflows of that. So one day, maybe I'll be on the other side of it, right? But it's in the exploration phase and not trying to make the same mistakes again.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. So, Mark, I'm going to stop sharing. Have you had a chance to read some of these real quick as they're kind of scrolling through? They're pretty fascinating.
I have
And
not because they look very interesting and a lot going on there. So I would love to
yeah,
review it. But for the people who have responded or people who have thought of it, just use it in the back of your mind and use that as scaffolding for the rest of our conversation as we go forward. So that way, it's like, what does it mean to me? Think about that for yourself, because part of the education process is the reflection. That's where a lot of the learning happens.
yeah. And so now I'm going to stop sharing and let's see. And then what's going to happen next is that Mark is going to take over. And there's so much to cover that we decided that Mark was going to, I was going to be vulnerable and just put myself on the hot seat first. And selfishly, I couldn't wait to get the insights. And Mark is going to use SuperSmall as an example and walk through at a slower clip so that you folks understand. And then we're going to transition and we're going to take some people live and go through that.
Perfect. Yeah, and that's exactly it. You want repetition as you see these things. So high level, we're gonna go really fast, just so you get the kind of roadmap. One of the lessons I learned in writing is that you don't want to take your audience hostage. Give them a roadmap to know where they're going.
Mhm.
And so we'll go over the quick steps of what the process is, and if you have some questions, we can go back and forth on that. And then the fun happens. We'll do it live together and kind of like a group project. Help each other out. That's all what the community is about. So I'll share my screen. So I use a tool called a Draw. I'm a visual person, and I also can't keep track of notes, physical notes. So I like to have Draw and have everything here. And so I broke it down to roughly 8 steps. The first step, step zero, is you already have your great business idea. I mean, you see through the posts on there in the responses, people already have those. That needs to come from your domain expertise or things you've noticed and patterns, right? That coming up with a business idea is a whole other project in itself, right? And that's outside the scope of this. So I'm assuming you already have that, right? But then the next question becomes, well, how do I find out if this is a good idea? There's so many different ways in which you can go and validate that. People always talk about user interviews. You can pay for user interviews sometimes. You can go send out marketing requests. I actually think the lowest hanging fruit is just Reddit. What makes Reddit so powerful is people who are very vocal about a problem already self-selecting into their own segments and niches. And there's a huge wide variety of it. In addition, people are mostly anonymous, so they're gonna be more willing to talk. It's why you go Google search something, you do search and then Reddit afterwards to get like a really good review, right? Things are starting to change. People are starting to use more of the LLM stuff, but that's the first step. And so with working with the SuperSmall team, they're obviously in the startups. We went to the startup community and we said like, hey, where are the problems around that? There were like 80 plus
And Mark,
comments, right? Yeah.
just real quick is like it was counterintuitive for me to go to Reddit when we were doing this, which just got me so excited. Like I was thinking like business would be more like LinkedIn or something like that, right? So why are we choosing Reddit? And is that always the right place for people to start?
Yeah, and the thing is, you have to go where your community's at, right? So, for example, I'm in the data community and a developer, and most people think, oh, you need to go to Twitter or X. That's where all the developers are at. Turns out, none of the data people are really there. They're all on LinkedIn and Substack, right?
Oh.
So that's where I'm going to go for that. For the startup community, again, they're probably going to be on LinkedIn, but also the other people are going to be on Reddit. So I think both are valid. I think
Mhm.
Reddit is more permissive in getting the data out of it compared to a tool like LinkedIn. So that's
Got
another thing to think about too. Is like how easy is it get the data out?
it. Okay.
Perfect. So say we skim through all these, and me personally, I actually read through every single comment myself, in doing that. And so we can quickly use our LLMs, and instead of doing a quick web scraper or vibe coding something like that, just print it as a PDF. Do the simplest thing possible. LLMs have gotten, or AI in general, tools have gotten so good at kind of parsing PDFs that you can just get a lot of rich information from there. So I turn into a PDF and
Mhm.
then I pass it into Gemini or
Well,
whatever AI
one
tool you
question
choose.
on that, and I'm sharing with the community because when you were typing, you're like, "Oh, let's go to Reddit," and you did like entrepreneurship or entrepreneurs or something, and it was like a really big list. You're like, "I don't like it. I'm gonna type up like startup or vibe code or something different." What were you looking for so that people? I saw people like there was a company in Loop 8. There's people around consulting who are doing stuff. There was people who are doing dental. Like when if they want to do that same kind of anthropologic approach, like what should they be searching for as they're in the community and before they save it as a PDF?
Definitely. I think the biggest thing is how much signal can I get?
Mhm.
Is it a community that maybe is only post once a week? There's probably not going to be a comment or a post thread that has your topics. But if maybe they're posting 100,000 times a week, it's going to be so much noise. There's going to be a lot of effort.
Mm,
So it's trying to find that Goldilocks.
mhm.
I try to find somewhere. I don't have a really rough estimate, but around 30K monthly visitors is something I'm pretty happy with. Where the
30K.
community is small enough where they can still talk about their problems,
Yeah.
but not so big enough that it's just massive noise for the people in there.
Okay, so 30K. Okay, that's a good kind of benchmark for folks when they're going in and doing customer research via Reddit. Cool.
Yep, yep. And the thing is, like, I'm showing the low hanging fruit here.
Hmm.
The thing you can also do as a more of an advanced play is you can start posting questions that are related to your business, but not directly tied because Reddit hates selling. To start sparking conversations. The reason why it's kind of I just want to highlight that's possible. The challenge is that Reddit's very sensitive to selling. And so if you post and they sniff like, oh, you're a seller or you're a new account, right? They're going to be banning you off of there or be like shame, 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 right? I've had it happen on my own post sometimes. Sometimes I just miss the mark and I wrote kind of a post that just didn't
Yeah.
land with them. They're like this awful. And literally in the same day, I'll do another post, same community. You're like, you're the best person ever. Thanks for sharing this. So
Yeah.
have some thick skin with Reddit. It's everyone's anonymous for better or for worse.
And
But
when you
this is the
say
low
like,
hanging fruit.
and so I think this is a common, at least for me, when going into Reddit. Like I was like like walking on eggshells, right? Like I don't want to get flamed, or this is like a new community. And then you mentioned like you had some rule of thumbs like 10 to 1, or how long you
Yep.
should be lurking because people can look into your profile. Like that gave me some like a rubric or some like a bumper guards. And I felt safer to engage more in Reddit. Can you also share what some of those were as well?
Yeah, great question. So, the reason, and I love how you called out anthropologists, I think in the event description, and also
Mhm.
just before recently, is you have to approach it like an anthropologist. Anthropologists go into communities that they're not from. They embed themselves within it. They gain trust of the people, and they learn without trying to extract. And they try to give back value how they can, right? And so what I do when I'm going to a new community. So, for example, I wanted to go into the experienced devs community. I went in and just lurked for 3 months. just
months.
reading every single post every single day, understanding how they talked. Then I went and started commenting on posts that I found interesting. And when I start getting upvotes on my comments, I was like, great, I am talking like them. I'm embedded myself. They trust like the things I bring, and like what I'm saying is relevant.
Mm,
After a few times of that, then I felt comfortable posting because I've done the work. They've seen me in the community and they know, what I'm trying to do. And so I can actually pull up my Reddit right now.
yeah.
And something I want to highlight here is so you can see where am I active in, right? You can see experienced devs, data engineering, startups, big data, a lot of data stuff. But the
Hmm.
thing that is most interesting is my ratio. I have
Wow.
32 posts and 322 comments. I
Wow.
try to aim for every one post I do, I've done 10 comments. So if I'm starting
Wow.
to plan, hey, this is a post I want to create traction for people to start commenting, I want to start commenting myself for a few days beforehand before I post. And to give you an example of that, right? So let me go to the experienced devs. Let's see. Let me go to post. You can see this one I got banned. They're like, hey, this sucked. So it happens, right? So this has 690K views. Actually,
Wow.
this one, open telemetry. This one has over 160K views. Keep in mind, I only have 40 followers. You don't need to be a big follower account to make this viable, right?
Hmm.
And so I went in there and I was saying, hey, open telemetry, is it worth the effort? I'm learning more about that. Can you tell me about your experience implementing this? The reason why I brought this up was in my sales calls, every engineer kept on talking about open telemetry and comparing us to that. So I was like, I have no idea what tool this is. Why don't I go ask the community what they think about it,
So
right?
smart.
And I have 70 comments of people telling about their experience for this. And sometimes people are even saying like software engineer, 30 years retired, right? Um, all these different kind of self-selecting roles to give me kind of context. CTO, 25 years of experience.
Hmm.
Imagine trying to find that person on LinkedIn. They're probably not going to respond to you. And now
Hmm.
they're writing whole paragraphs to me, right?
Wow.
So this is more of an advanced thing where if you build up the confidence, you can start posting, but it takes months to do that. We're
Hmm.
focused on how can you start getting value today,
Yeah.
and validate. Do you want to put the effort into Reddit to do that?
Yeah.
Go find existing ones, turn it into a PDF, and then throw it into your AI of choice to extract and create a market report.
And then in terms of AI, are you pretty, I'm sure the audience has a pretty mixed bag in terms of what they use. Are you pretty agnostic, or do you have one that is your go-to, at least for today or
Yeah,
recently?
right now, I used to be heavy ChatGPT. I now moved over to Gemini, and
Hmm.
then for anything code related, I do Claude Code.
Hmm.
Those are my two things, and then now I'm actually starting to use multiple now. So, for example, I'm really interested in GEO and AEO, which is like the generative search and generative
Hmm.
AI search. So when Google says, "Hey, uh, here's a summary of those things," how do you show up in that? And so what I do is I'll take my website, I'll say, "Hey, as an AI agent, please go tell me how much you can scrape from this." I'll go to Gemini, I'll go to
Mm.
Claude, and go to OpenAI, and I'll see the differences and see all the different gaps because they all have different flavors, right?
Yeah,
And when you
yeah.
bring those flavors together, it's magic.
Okay. So now you chose the 30,000 one, the Goldilocks. You have all these comments. Instead of doing like a scraping, you just do save as PDF, and then now you're going to show the next step in Gemini.
Yes, in Gemini. So this is what happens here. And when we do the hot seat, we'll actually pull up Gemini and do it together. But I said like, hey, your expert market research, analyze PDF Reddit comments and do this. And one of the key things too, and we'll discuss it earlier, is I didn't come up with this prompt. I
Mhm.
prompted Gemini to give me a good prompt to do this. Gemini knows Gemini way better than I do. So I'm gonna let them come up with the prompt, right? And so it started giving all these different things. So when I was sitting in the coffee shop with David, he was like, this one, the serial vibe coder. That is the persona I want to go after. Here are some of the problems. Let's say great. And so the next step is then I take this research and I put structure to it. And this is
Mhm.
why I call it the persona matrix. And what I do is, and to kind of, this is like a lot of information there.
Mhm.
We can potentially share this later, but here's a more condensed version. I have
Yeah.
my description, my target and persona problem. I have my target persona guiding questions, and then I have my value prop. And so I start off with value prop and say, what series of questions will someone ask themselves once they experience the problem that will lead to my value prop being the solution they want. Some people describe it as value chains, but this is how it looks. So, for example, for the vibe coder, I'm starting a company. I have a great idea of how do I validate.
Yeah.
Validate an app technically, but how do I validate demand, right? So on and so forth. All these questions they ask. Those become the themes for my core messages. I split that up by persona and positioning and then group it. Hey, core message 1, core message 2, core message 3. This now becomes my content for LinkedIn. This now
Wow.
becomes my content for email drip campaigns. This now becomes my content for sales campaigns, right? Whole education things. And so the
And do
ones I'm
you
doing
do
at
it
Gable, go ahead.
sequentially like that? Like it's
I
a
do.
chain, so I would imagine one link comes before the other one. You don't randomly
Nope.
tweet it out,
I
right?
go through it all the way through. And so for example, the one at Gable, I have a 12-step chain. That is a 12-step email going through educating someone. So that way by the time they come to our sales call, they already understand the problem, our worldview, and we're going straight to talking about their problems.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that because I feel like sometimes I'm so random. Like I'll think about one problem and I'll do a blog post or an email, but I don't think about it as a serial chain and moving them through the funnel. And sounds like what you're doing. You're matching these to the funnel and trying to move them down and better qualify them.
Exactly. And this right here is not set in stone. I am iterating on this for every discovery call and every user interview I'm
Yeah,
doing. I'm learning and updating this, kind of like a business model canvas. If you've seen that, right?
yeah.
And then from here, you can also say, for instance, the email campaign. You can now, all right, for target A positioning 1, this had averaged this open rate and this click through rate and this many meetings.
Mm.
So now you can start seeing what are the performance of them as well to start doubling down on what works and then keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll go deep into that. But then let's go back to my friend Gemini or your
Yeah.
AI choice. I said, hey, here's my target persona. Here's the value chain towards and the positioning. Come up with a drip campaign that are 300 words or less and give me a subject. So I got this anti-wasted code. You can ship a product in a weekend. That's your superpower. How many of those weekends wins are actually life solving a life ruining problem, right? So I'm
Mhm.
like, great. I remember sitting with David and Boaz, me like, why don't we just post this right now?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
posted it on LinkedIn.
Oh, that's
um,
crazy.
and the thing is too is that I'm not doing it one to one. I'm actually editing, putting my own voice in
Yeah.
there. So you can't just copy and paste. You have to put in the effort there. And so my role is then I believe that I'm going to target an emotional response from my target persona, which is going
Mhm.
to push them to comment on my posts. My goal here is putting out something that'll have someone comment.
Okay,
And
so and
comments
I
I
think
got.
this is a very important link. He started with 30,000, kind of the Goldilocks on Reddit, then scraped it with a PDF, threw it into Gemini, and had Gemini come up with the prompt. And now he's bridging that to LinkedIn, right? Because this is the first time
Yep.
you're introducing LinkedIn. Okay, I'm sorry, keep
Yep.
going. I just want to make sure that was
And
clear.
it can be any social media of choice. I prefer
Okay,
LinkedIn because it's great for B2B SaaS, but if you're on Twitter, if you're on TikTok or wherever it may be,
yeah,
same play applies. You
yeah.
want to get comments, the comments give you permission to go into their DMs. The DMs is an avenue into getting into a meeting. You're trying to book meetings. That is the ultimate goal. And so here's the post I did, right? And
Mhm.
I got a whole bunch of comments. One of them was this person. They gave their own advice to that. And I said, completely agree. Didn't make my first dollar as entrepreneur until a few failed attempts. I joke around with my friends about getting your failures out of the way, right? And so I'm commenting every time someone comments, I'm commenting back
Mhm.
over them. That juices the algorithm, and LinkedIn's very happy for conversations to happen. Key thing, I'm not using an AI tool to do my comments. The comments are coming from me because this is again giving you information. The in sociology we call it rich, thick description, where you're understanding what's happening that you can't really
Yeah.
just pick up. You just scrape.
And is this a good time? You mentioned earlier to me like how the you're kind of a savant when it comes to the LinkedIn algorithm. Is this a good time to touch on like what you're seeing differently and why you're over indexing on comments now?
Yes. So the big thing is the LinkedIn algorithm had a huge shift huge shift last year, and I'm seeing it with among all content creators. Earlier, I was able to do LinkedIn posts, and I was averaging easily a month, 100K, 200K impressions. Now it's gone down to 20K. My friends who have 500K followers, same thing happening to them, and that's very intentional on LinkedIn because they changed from a follower-based algorithm to a topic and interest-based algorithm. So think like TikTok, why their algorithm's different, right? And so what they're doing is they're taking an LLM, they're saying, hey, this person posted. I'm gonna see the LLM context with your bio and your headline and put that into the LLM to evaluate your posts and how well it aligns with your expertise. If it aligns, I'm gonna push it to more people and specifically to the people you've engaged with in the past couple of days.
Mm.
And so that's why the comments are so important because it keeps on pushing that kind of algorithm for people to engage.
And then is an offset of that, like I know some people are, doing their day jobs and having a side hustle, and trying to make that their day job. And then they might not post about what they're doing on LinkedIn. If it's a topic model, do you get dinged for that because it's not throughout your LinkedIn that you, let's just say you want to make wooden boomerangs, okay? But you're doing it out of your garage, so you don't say anything about wooden boomerangs, but you're posting about that. But your post will not get the performance you're looking for because you have nothing about wooden boomerang expertise in your background.
Perfect. Yeah, and that's actually the biggest question I always get is, well, Mark, you have 65,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
I have 200. Am I going to get any comments?
Yeah.
LinkedIn actually likes new people posting. They actually give you an artificial boost in the beginning to give you that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
But again, where's the low hanging fruit? You don't need to be an expert to get value. You don't need to have this big audience. Go find where the audience already is. So if you're talking about what is it, wooden tools or things along
Wooden
those lines,
boomerangs.
wooden boomerangs. Like, I mean, let's go to LinkedIn right now and we can go find wooden boomerangs.
I love
Someone
how
is
you do
talking
this.
about a wooden boomerang right now. I have no idea if they are. That's not how you spell boomerang.
I think you missed the A in there.
Yeah. So, okay, wooden. There we go. I wrote a book, but I'm not the best at spelling. Okay. Take flight, boomerang. Okay, there's a lot going on here. Art, crafted from real black wooden boomerangs, right?
Oh, that's cool.
Um, right. So there's someone is talking about it. Let's go look at the past 24 hours. Uh, again, someone's talking about boomerang in IT, right? Someone is talking about it online. Go talk to them. Go comment. So I'm gonna go
Mm.
find boomerang. Boomerang. Let's go find where people talk about it. You know what? I'm gonna go back to the one where there was cool boomerang. Cool art. Love boomerangs. Boom. That person's gonna be so shocked. They're like, "Whoa, this person commented on boomerangs for a post from a year ago." And if they respond, guess what? I'm gonna go straight into their DMs.
Oh,
So that
wow.
was my timer to say we're up on this aspect of it. But to quickly wrap it up, I get a comment and I immediately go into their DMs. Hey, love your comment about XYZ. Are you currently building anything? Right? Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate you saying. Here's all this extra context in one of those lines. Continue the conversation. Try to book a call. Right? The next thing is like, as you said, I'm working a day job. I don't have time to be on LinkedIn all day while I'm doing this, right?
Hmm.
So I outsource the next step. Once they're in the DMs and we're doing the like back and forth trying to schedule, I give it to a third party VA who can log into my account and go do this on my behalf. The tool I use is Hey Reach, and so I can basically create like a shared inbox and then invite her in to handle those things. So
And so Hey Reach is the software that allows you to share the inbox, the LinkedIn inbox.
yes. And the big
Okay.
thing is that I'm trying to, because I have a large audience, it's
Yeah.
a higher risk for me to lose that audience. So I'm
Oh, of
more
course.
protective of it.
And we also discussed this, like you said, a VA. Typically, I'm biased because I had some operations overseas, and
Mhm.
you hear about a lot of call centers in like the Philippines. Is this VA domestic or overseas? And do you have any recommendations if people are like, "Wow, this is really clicking for me," what Mark's sharing, and I want to try some of this? Like, any insights on the VA side?
Yeah, I do both.
Mm.
So at Gable, we use some from the Philippines, and they're rock stars.
Mm.
The VA for the CEO runs the CEO's life. If I need something done, I go to her, right? For my personal business, because I also have her engaged with my family for appointments, I have a
Yeah.
US based VA. That's
Mhm.
more expensive, but I'm happy to pay that, right? And
Okay.
so, how do we keep track of this? Me and the VA, we have our own spreadsheet, dev founder user interviews. This is the one I'm using right now for a lot of the stuff I'm kind of doing user interviews right now. either LinkedIn, their name, company, title, the status. I've already scheduled one. And here's a good example, right? So again, I'm trying to help developers go to market, right? I
Mm-hmm.
found someone, they're a founder, said, hey, thanks for attending my last talk. Please feel reach out if you ever want to have any further questions. A week later, hey, I enjoyed it. I respond, thanks so much. I'm actually spending the next few months doing XYZ. Were you down to grab coffee? Sure, I'm down, but I'm busy because I'm applying to YC. Opportunity to provide value. How does this sound? I will
Mm-hmm.
provide feedback on your YC app. Send me a doc. I'll read through it. And then after you apply, let's go grab coffee and talk about it. I now had a whole phone call with him talking about his YC app and his challenges of thinking about go to market and on those things. I want to get embedded in your workflow. I want to be helpful. The information's so powerful. And then you get to help people. How cool is that?
Okay, so wow, that's a lot. So let me zoom out. So first, you found the business thesis and the 30K followers in Reddit. You scrape the comments in that PDF. You drop it in Gemini. It gives you all this output. You put it in LinkedIn, and then you're getting you're focusing over indexing on comments, and you have this person just say like, "Hey, thanks for talking." You didn't just go thumbs up. You engage. You help. You offer to help them review their YC app. And then, so if they ever have the go-to-market challenge that you had 5, 6 years ago, you're going to be the first person they call, right?
Exactly. And this is what I found is you plant all these seeds. And at Gable, the CEO did this. He spent years planting seeds.
Yeah.
I actually pulled his LinkedIn data. Over 3 years, he has had 17,000 separate conversations with people.
Wow.
17,000, right?
Yeah.
Which is insane. That's how we're able to get so much inbound. We're fully inbound because he did the work before he started the company and during the company to start fueling this. And so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw him do that. I was like, that's the play.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
And I think
Um,
for the folks in the audience is if you don't, some people are like, hey, I'm not good at sales. Or I don't have sales experience. You're not doing sales. You're just helping people. You're like,
exactly.
that's what Mark's doing. He's offering to help. He's not selling, right? Like he's putting it out there and they want. So when I flip my mindset into helping people, just becomes natural.
Yeah, and you know what's funny too is that I got put into a sales role at a startup because I was just startup. You put it upon hats. I got out of the helper mindset into the sales mindset, and I was awful. So I exactly agree. I was like, I feel so slimy. Like, what? Like, how am I trying to get a meeting with this? And then here I'm like, oh, I'll be your YC app. Like, that's what 30 minutes. Just send it over.
Mhm.
It changes dynamic. I think for developers who I'm going after, they feel that pain a lot. They're like, I don't want to be like that, right? And I think that's because they just don't know what good sales look like.
Mhm.
Many times, if good sales feel like you're just talking to a friend who's helping you out, and you just have to give them money.
Mhm. Great.
Yep. So that's the process end to end. Maybe I'll stop sharing.
Okay.
Um, stop sharing for now. I guess any questions upon that?
Yeah. So let's. I think is there? There's a. Oh wait. Let me enable Q&A. Enable. So if anyone has any questions, if you can type that in, we'll take a question break before we go in and start doing things live. Let's see. There's some in the. Okay. So Mark says. Oh no. Boaz. Mark. Oh, sorry about that, Mark. Um, oh, Angela is wondering, what did you type in to narrow the search? And then Brian asked, well, we learned how to scrape. Do you mind sharing how you scraped the Reddit post?
Yeah, happy to. So let's go to the open telemetry one. Oh, let me go share my screen again. Let's see, entire screen, share. Oh, I have to click it. There we go. There we go. And then open telemetry. Here we go. I have a whole bunch of comments. Command P. That should be print. The most powerful scraper in the world. PDFs. So I save that and go. This little screen is in the way. So save. Perfect. And then I'll go to Gemini. right? I'm doing a quick one right here, but you get the idea. We have this
Mm-hmm.
nice little PDF. It'll run. It's doing on fast mode. Um, there we go, right?
Wow.
And this happens so quickly for that, right?
Yeah.
I'll do a more advanced kind of one where it turns to a market analysis, but you see like how quick that was. I now have quick data to
That's
use
unbelievable.
for this.
And then,
So it's
yeah,
great.
and you can do that as a
Shout out
workflow.
AI.
Yeah. And then Mark, I have to ask, and in Gemini, because I like to use Gemini as well. Do you usually like the when you're actually doing the analysis, fast thinking or the pro mode in Gemini?
I use Pro, but it can be pricey for that, and so thinking is probably good enough for that.
Mm-hmm.
Another one I would use is deep research. So something I would do sometimes is I'll turn that into a spreadsheet, and then I'll open up another chat and say, "Hey, here's a spreadsheet. Can you do deep research based on what you're seeing in the sheet to find more context?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's other things you can do to do that. But the biggest thing is that the way I use AI tools is that you don't need to be a master prompter, right? You need to be a context engineer. You need to find the context, save it, and provide it to the AI at the right time and build that context over time.
Yeah. So there are a few people I think who joined a little bit late as I'm looking at some of the chat is that for Reddit, can you also use Reddit to get leads, or do you say that's a no and it's more about market research and you actually get the leads at LinkedIn?
The latter. Absolutely not. Reddit hates it's a whole culture and it's always been like this. And I think that's what makes it Reddit so powerful for information is that they're very much against ads. If you get any sniff of an ad or what they call astroturfing, where you have an ad hiding as a plain comment, like you notice my stuff is nothing sales related. Is
Hmm.
literally just talking about the problem space
Hmm.
for that and keeping it at that. With that said, is I'll share my screen real quick. I
Hmm.
do have assets. So if you end up being very helpful on Reddit, people will go to your profile. And let's go to my profile right here. So view profile. I have our book and where you can download it for free
Hmm.
on here as well. That's pinned to the top post. So that's one way you can do it. But again, 42 followers. Like people aren't really going to engage. That's not the behaviors on Reddit. Now, I have had people come into my DMs, and once they're in my DMs, I then say, "Hey, by the way, like here's my LinkedIn if you want to continue the conversation there." I have had that, but the value is more so in getting the seeds of how to start talking to your community to accelerate your iteration process. Because what you find here is not going to be your final answer. Your final answer is going to come from the interviews you do, from the people you talk to, and further validation. This is just to accelerate you to get to that point.
Got it. Okay, so for this, I'm going to do two more questions, and then we're going to take a volunteer and go the awesome hot seat. So Tom was wondering, how are you organizing the leads being developed on LinkedIn? Do you pull in that data, organize and score what stages they are in?
Yeah, so let's actually go to share my screen. I can't share the exact sheet, but
Yeah.
I did a screenshot that is censored and stuff like that. So this is all I have, right? I keep it simple. Again, at the early stage that we're in, more processes is going to slow you down. Just what gets you to work quickly, what gets you to the next meeting as quickly as possible. Don't overthink it. So I have their
Mhm.
LinkedIn, name, company, some information here, and then I keep track of the outreach. And this is what my VA is typically doing. Is like seeing the messages and putting it in here. So, and then also I have like various like stages. So I have outreach sent, first message sent, response, scheduling meeting, meeting happens, right? Um, and then like as you graduate, the next obvious thing to use is a CRM, like HubSpot or
Mhm.
something along those
Yeah.
lines, right? But again, I think that's too heavy for what this is right now.
Yeah. And do you complement this with any paid ads?
No. So me personally, I don't do paid ads, but that's
Mhm.
because I have the luxury of building an audience. So
Mhm.
if you too spend 6 years posting on LinkedIn, you can avoid paid ads, right?
Yeah.
You pay somewhere else.
Yeah. All right. So let's say last question, and then we'll go into some live demo, and then we'll come back to the Q&A. Is Mina was wondering, can you tell us a bit more about your business? Is it more consulting or SaaS, which I think would be a good lead in then to bring an audience member on board?
Yeah, that's a good question. That is where I'm doing the market research at. I have a few bets. I'm now really just focusing on the persona and the pains. And so right now, my target persona are developers who want to start companies and don't have a co-founder. Those are the people that I'm going after. I'm going deep and trying to understand their deep problems because I think there's a huge market opportunity for that. And so right now, it's very services and consultancy based because I want to have time to be deeply embedded in their workflows to understand what's painful for them. And then from there, I can start identifying, well, what's a real problem that could be a product in itself or a full blown business model to expand that. And
Mhm.
so for me personally, the way I like to learn about the users I want to work with is get embedded in their work as much as possible and just be side by side with them. You learn so much just from that, just even watching them and not even them talking.
Okay. All right. Well, so I'd like to welcome Rupa Patel as our first volunteer. And Mark, do you want to bring her, ask her to come off mute and tell you a little bit about our business thesis and ICP to kick us off, or what would be most helpful for you?
That would be perfect. Please introduce yourself. Give us the quick pitch and what you're thinking of it. And I saw this company at the pricing workshop that I went to.
Yeah.
So
Oh
so it's
yeah,
cool to
that's
to see
right.
the continuation.
Oh, cool. That's really cool. Okay, so those of you who weren't at this pricing workshop in December, I I am a founder of one company actually that does dental software to improve workflows for dental service organizations. But the company that I'm working for a dental service organization. The idea, okay, let me start over a little bit. Zen Center, it's all good.
You're doing great. And real quick, I want to shout out how awesome it is you go on the hot seat. It's very hard to do that live. So even though it's hard for me to do, it's also hard for you.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you being vulnerable and doing this.
Thank you, thank you. Um, so what we're doing is we're building software for dental service organizations to optimize their workflows, analyze data and metrics and dashboards, streamline their front desk, and basically make the operations of a dental organization more tech forward than it ever has been before. And the target market for the dental service, for what I'm working for as well, is dental organizations where the dentist doesn't want to have to deal with any of that, and they just want to focus on care.
Makes sense.
And they
Makes
own a
sense. And then
practice, independent practices. Yeah.
perfect. And so we're saying your ICP is dental offices, right? Is there a reason why you're choosing dental offices over like a medical office or other ones, maybe like I'm going to get my flu shot kind of thing?
Yeah. So dental service organizations are multi-location versions of dental clinics, by the way. So we're doing both multi-location and single offices. And my co-founder is actually a pediatric dentist that has a dental service organization of 12 clinics. They're growing. She's got an orthodontic partner. So it's a lot of expertise. And I've been working with her trying to build software, kiosk software for the last few years, several years. So now I'm embedded with the operations. I'm embedded with a
Cool.
lot of what we're doing now. And now we're trying to build the software customer base because we
Amazing,
haven't,
amazing.
yeah, done that yet.
Perfect. So I love
That's
that. I
where I
like
want to
tight
be.
ICP. It's not just medical office, it's dental office who either has multi-office or single office. For the case of this, which one do you want to choose? Single office or multi-office?
Let's do multi-office. Yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And one of the key
Like
things I
three
want to highlight here.
locations. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. So three plus locations. And again, specificity is your friend and doing the positioning and things like that. Because if you have the specificity and it doesn't work out, you know what to cross out, right? If it's too wide, you have some questions, right? Um, and so I always say like I'm trying to iterate to understand where I'm wrong and grow from there, right? So perfect, multi-office. And so let's talk about your persona. So ICP typically is like the company itself, right?
Mhm.
Persona is like the individuals within it, right? So who's your target
Yeah.
persona within this multi-office dental place?
The dentist is a decision maker, but the operations manager feels the pain. So the person,
Mm,
director of
operations manager.
operations, somebody who's managing clinic staff who has to hire, fire, manage software, whereas the dentist picks the vendors and feels the pain of like, okay, well, I
Yep,
actually don't know which marketing, I don't know, whatever software to use, and
yep,
I'm just guessing and picking it, and I'd rather have
yep.
someone else make that decision for me.
So dentist purchaser for the middle or the organization was the title you had manager, office manager,
Operations manager or director.
operations manager. So that's like the champion, the person that's going to bring it in, right? Who's the user of this? Is it also the operations manager,
It's the dental staff and
dental staff?
yeah, dental staff and even the dentist because they'll be using the medical record that we're choosing and wanting them to integrate with other parts of the software stack that we've
Mm,
kind of
okay,
made decisions about.
interesting. If you had to choose two, out of those three, like which one would you focus on?
Operations manager.
Operations, operations manager. Who'd
Mhm.
be the second one?
Dentist.
Dentist.
Actually, no, maybe
Fascinating.
maybe not.
Oh,
Maybe not. I'm sorry. Dentist will the staff probably because they're the hardest one to corral. But they're not the ones
mm,
that'll be on Reddit complaining about their jobs.
hmm. That sounds like an assumption. Let's go find out.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
the reason why I say
Dental
that is Reddit
Workers
is specifically known for
Anonymous,
people complaining.
Reddit subreddit.
So, and that's one thing I want to highlight too is the big bias with Reddit is that people are very negative, right? That's why I say this is to seed your idea for market validation, but not the validation itself. They're very
Right.
biased, right? So want to make that very clear. Awesome. Well, let's go into Reddit. I'm gonna share my screen. Perfect. And so I can't see the screen, but maybe David in the chat. So let's go to homepage right here. And so maybe in the chat, like what are some communities let's group together. Let's all help out. What are some potential community keywords that we should look up? So maybe David start saying them out loud as you see them in the chat.
Let me go into the chat real quick. All right, so I've got medicine, subreddit medicine,
Medicine. Reddit medicine.
dental,
Okay.
dental clinic, health IT,
Perfect. Ooh,
dental
health
clinic
IT.
tool.
Right. So I'm looking at
DSO.
medicine, right? 300K weekly visitors, 3,000 weekly contributions. Remember that Goldilocks thing? That might be too much. Family medicine, much smaller. I'd be interested. But as you say, you're into dental offices, so maybe let's try dental.
There's also dental service organization, DSO, dental tech, dental group management.
Cool. Those sound great. So let's. I'm sorry, I can't. The person that I can't see the name. I'm sorry. What out of those key terms? Which one sound the most interesting to you?
Rupa, which one?
Yeah, I would say dental service organization, DSO, dental tech, one of those two. Dental tech is probably the best one. Well, yeah, dental service organization is actually a good one too.
So dental services, 3 weekly visitors, right? So it's
No,
super small, right? So we
try
can go,
DSO. Just try DSO.
yeah,
See if there's one for just a really simple one.
right. So it can definitely be challenging right there. Another thing I can
Yeah,
do
dental
is look up
operations.
dental front office, right? So we can see that jobs. What's so special about working for dental front office? How does your office treat you? Think about so there are people complaining about their job on here and on the specific on differences
Yeah,
in jobs, right?
yeah,
So I'm gonna go
that's a
look at
great one.
communities, right? So
Dental
this one has
office
25
manager.
weekly
This is great.
visitors.
Yeah.
So let's go look at dental office, see what they have here. Uh, Not much action here. How do missed call or overflow affect your dental office workflow? Does that sound like
Ooh,
your
yeah,
problem?
that's exactly what I want to know about because you're deploying a missed call agent
Oh,
with Neuro.
perfect. There we go. Well,
Yeah.
let's let's go put this in the chat so you just have it. Right there we go. You can go deep on that. Cool, awesome. Uh,
Yeah.
and this is the hardest part. Once we have this, everything else becomes much easier, right? So you find that, right? So let's go through here. Our phone systems automatically detect patients. I haven't had patients horribly upset when they miss a call, right? We implemented AR Office to handle calls, and it's been a game changer, right? Yeah, that's a common issue. Most don't even realize how many jobs are lost because of missed calls. This sounds great, right? So what are your thoughts, Rupa, upon seeing this?
Rupa? Oh, maybe she froze.
Deep in the comments now.
Yeah.
Well, while we're waiting for her, because I would like for her to be back so we can go do this together.
Yeah.
What are some questions people may
Yeah.
have
So
about
Tom
this?
had a question, and his question is, so wouldn't she want to go to her preferred LLM? Oh, she's back.
There you go.
Yes,
Hey,
I'm here,
Rupa.
guys.
Cool. We're building a quick question. So what was the question?
Oh, so Tom asked, so wouldn't she want to go to her preferred LLM, then identify typical niches, may have people with teeth problems, then go into those Reddits and start the flow of comments and communicating, so then the user water flow into engaging with her directly for her office's offerings?
That is a great question. You know what? Let's actually go to uh let's see. We'll go find someone on Reddit. Let's go to the dental office, see if someone's like, here's my company, and see how people respond.
Oh, yeah.
And this is fully live, right? So this is a good one. So let me just let me not lose that real quick. So let's go into Reddit, right? And so now let's say in dental office, um, let's go look up AI. That's the big thing. And whoops, dentist, dental office. We totally just lost it. There we go. Dental office, dental assistant, dentist. There we go. I'm looking up AI because there's probably some AI company people are trying to. There you go. AI, 0 upvotes. Burnout, 0 upvotes.
No one likes this content.
Right? Right? People are just mean, right? If you go into experienced devs, that's the group I hang out with, and they're much more vicious. Actually, we can go to a post that I had about AI. Post the one that got right here, right? This post was removed. I am drowning in the AI LLM hot takes. This is literally just an ad for stuff he's working on. Please stop. My God, shut up. So that is why you don't sell on Reddit because that is a pretty commonplace kind of thing, right? So again, Reddit's not really powerful for that. There are tools that do that, and they actively try to find those tools or people using them and ban them.
All right. So thanks for that question, Tom. And now you were asking Rupa, I think, a question before. She was deep in thought.
Yeah. So I guess like, what are your immediate thoughts upon seeing these like comments and questions?
So I think what's really cool is that it really amplifies the pain point we're trying to address. Like it's there and there's lots of random people talking about it. And I'm not sure if they're coming up with solutions or suggestions for competitors, and that would be really interesting to see.
Definitely. And maybe David and Boaz, from your experience building startups, what's
Mhm.
the danger of anchoring too much to this one post?
Yeah, you have like a loud voice can drown out everyone, just someone who's very opinionated or strident. And if you're building for that small, I think it was in your YC comment too, right? You think that gravitational pull is reflects in reality, but it's only a very minor one, and you just build towards that loud voice. So I think this is part of the anthropology and the market research, and then I think the follow up is talking to people, right, and having those conversations that you're having your VA do via LinkedIn, which because there's no shortcut, and the more you're doing now will save so much more time down the road.
Yep, that's exactly it. And one thing I want to highlight here is what makes this like people having strong opinions so powerful for content itself, because your content needs to have an emotional response. And so I get highly opinionated and emotional kind of comments that lead into triggers and hooks that work well for content. So that's why it leads well to that for creating the content to start getting people to talk to you rather than the full market research itself. So next step, good old web scrape through PDF. So we have this. Some things are cut off, but for the sake of it, we're completely okay for this. So let me go save. All right, boom. All right, so now I'm gonna go to Gemini, but you can use your tool of choice. I'm gonna create a new one. And so again, what I was saying earlier is I don't just throw it in there. For the quick example I did, but I'm gonna say, uh, I have a PDF of a Reddit thread and a bunch of comments talking about a business pain point I'm interested in. Create a prompt that I can use to pull the comments and create a detailed market research report. Boom. So again, Gemini is way better, or the AI tool is way better than me at doing this, right? So now market research, insert pain point here. Let's see. One thing I want to update, insert pain point. I'll say infer from comments, right? So again, I want to iterate on this as well. And then you go to thinking, see if it changes things a little bit. Perfect.
Is a PDF in there?
No. So I'm just copying that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new one. And now I have the prompt. So I got the prompt from Gemini. It can prompt better than me. Put that in there. I'm going to move it to thinking. And now let's go add, upload files, missed calls. There we go. And click run. So that's going to might take a little while to process things. Any questions in the meantime while we wait for this?
Rupa, did you have any questions of what he's doing on the workflow side?
I don't know why my connection's so off, but let me try to rejoin on a different network.
Okay. Well, while she's doing that, let me see. Mina says, when Mark made that one post on Reddit asking for feedback about that one company software, was that a competitor? I think it was the Open Telemetry.
Yeah, so it wasn't that's a hard question to answer. I'm not trying to go too much into technical details, but are they a competitor as a company? No. Are they a competitor as a tool that our target persona is gonna default to? Yes. So I wanted to understand what that tool was. That tool is open source and a framework that everyone uses for free. So I am competing with a free tool that everyone uses. So my work's kind of cut out for me, right? And companies have built software off this free software, right? And so this is pretty common in the developer space for that. And so that's why like people felt comfortable talking about it, because I wasn't saying like, hey, what do you think about this cool company? Is like, here's an open source tool that everyone's using. Everyone says it's the rage. Is it true? And people respond to that.
Let's see. While we have some time, she's rejoining. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Tanush, what are your thoughts on engaging with accounts or people who are hostile or critical to you on LinkedIn and Reddit? Does it hurt your brand, or is it okay because you're driving more views?
Yeah, that one's it depends, right? So if you're purely going for performance, you engage them, and what you do is you just you respond nicely. You just ask questions. Oh, that's an interesting perspective. Tell me more about this. The more they comment, the more it's going to boost it. But also, it's funny. I heard this fun fact. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago in Seattle. I had a guy who had a background in data science and market research, and they're doing disinformation campaigns. And they found that if you ask questions and politely engage with a troll, after about 4 comments, they change their position and be like, actually, my bad, I'm being a jerk. So like, it's kind of wild. And also, I've kind of seen it at Gable too. I remember I was on a sales call with the CEO and myself. We're talking to this finance company, and they're ripping into us. They're basically calling us dumb and are like, data contracting doesn't make sense. We don't know what we're doing. And I checked out. I was like, this isn't for me. CEO, you go handle it. We're on video call. He keeps going. He keeps talking to them. By the end of the call, wow, you guys are awesome. Let's meet next week and go talk
Wow.
further about this, right? And that was a big thing. I was like, one, sales is really hard.
Mhm.
Two, you have to sit through the pain and uncomfort to get to the other side. And most times people are rational and nice. They're just having a
Mhm.
bad moment.
Yeah, yeah. Um, let's do, is Rupa back?
I'm back. Yeah.
All
Can you guys hear
right.
me, see me
Yes, I can hear you.
on stable
Okay.
ground? Yeah.
Perfect. So we have now our report from here. So maybe let's go through this together. Again, this is live. I have no idea. Even that post was new to me. So primary business pain. Dental office are suffering from high velocity domino effect, where missed or overflow calls lead to immediate revenue loss through shopper ghosting, a significant drop in lead conversion, integrated in-office environment where staff feel rushed and present patients feel ignored. Does that align with
Exactly.
the pain?
That is
Yes,
exactly
let's
it.
go. That's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's more,
Cool.
there's a lot more to it than that, but that's a good summary.
It's kind of wild that you got that from a PDF on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
So we have core friction, the user persona map, front desk coordinators, office managers, practice owners. Didn't we just basically say that?
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
yeah, the
yeah.
cost of inaction, revenue hemorrhage, operational decay, patient experience, the cognitive gap, all these things. Great. So now, all right, out of this, which persona are you most interested in out of this group?
Um, I
Would it be the
guess,
office manager?
yeah, I would say so. I would say actually, you know what? I actually think it would be the practice owners
Practice
because
owners?
they're the ones that they have to deal with the pain of the staffing and resourcing, and it's expensive, and they make the decision of
Yeah,
whether to buy or get a playbook for
perfect.
themselves. So I would say the dentists, doctors, whatever you want to call them.
Cool.
Dentists is yeah.
Cool. So I'll say, I'm really interested. I gotta be nice to my AI overlords just in case. Um, practice owners, doctors, can you please provide a brief persona overview based on the Reddit comments?
And
I
I
like
think the way
when it goes,
you're
oh, go ahead.
I was just saying the way you're kind of continuing the conversation is how I feel like intuitively it makes sense. It's not like you're asking for formal prompts again and again. You're just continuing it like a conversation, right?
Exactly, and that's the difference. So you can do formal prompts, and that's totally like a great thing. Like Claude skills is like a whole thing happening right now, which is like prompts in a way. This is instead of me prompting, I'm building the context slowly within this context window to start going at. The one thing though is if you ever use AI and you're like 20 conversations deep and it starts getting worse and worse answers, that is a problem. That's called context bloat. And what you can do to get past that is you'd be like, all right, export docs, and then you have that asset and you start a new chat and bring it in. So that's the way you kind of get
Mhm.
around that, right? So, persona overview, the practice owner doctor, clinical focus and relationship building, patient focus, engage on hands on things, emergency backstop. So, if they are the final line of defense for the office in many workflows, would that be true?
I would say sometimes they're in the middle, not the final emergency. I would say the operations person is.
Perfect. So, that, and I'm glad you corrected that because again, this is AI. You have to,
Right.
you can work fast, but verify. Use it to help you move quickly, but use your information there. So maybe out of all of these kind of aspects right here, the emergency backstop, revenue guard, operation anxiety, added towards automation, which one is the
Yeah.
most compelling to you?
I would say the probably the revenue one.
Perfect. Then let's go to that. So
Yeah, because
now,
they're and also the patient focus, but I would say the revenue is more related to the patient core motivation, clinical focus. I would say it's the revenue one is really painful for them.
perfect. Let's go with that. And again, I'm iterating all the time when I do these things. So I have a pre-made one right here that
And
we
it's not
can
just
go.
new patients, it's like retaining patients too. So it feels like it's pretty simplistic what it came up with at this point.
I agree. I agree. And that's where you're probably gonna get. That's when if you start having like a whole bunch of context and I put it through a pro
Mm,
model and let it run for
yeah,
20 minutes, I get some professional grade stuff. So that's something to be aware of. But
right,
I
and
don't, for
more
the purpose of this
posts. Yeah,
call,
yeah.
I don't want to have you wait 20 minutes while Gemini goes through that, right? The revenue guardian. So target persona A is the dentist, right? And we have positioning. Whoops. And we're going to do one positioning just to keep it simple. The revenue guardian, right? So now let's go into we are target guiding questions. What is your value prop? What are you selling?
We're making it easier for you to attain and convert new patients to your practice. So,
Perfect. And then what? And how do they do that? Is that through the kiosk?
no, the kiosk is more of a saving the front desk check-in process.
So
That's not even
software.
mentioned in there. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So software that supports clinical workflow. And how do you describe it again?
It's basically a kiosk that lets patients check in and avoid having to talk to the front desk and fill out forms on the kiosk instead.
Perfect. Patient check-in.
Yeah.
Great. Right? So then I go into the guiding questions. And again, this is why it's so important that you already have the business idea and you already have some kind of hypotheses for that, because this is
Mhm.
where your kind of expertise is going to show. So let's think about like before they even realize they need software, what is the first pain they feel? Like, what are the symptoms?
They probably have staff showing up sick. They have staff kind of complaining that they have too much to do. Their patients are feeling rushed. And so the dentist feels like they have to be the peacemaker with like the staff and but at the same time make sure they come to work and not, so there's a lot of stress there.
Mm-hmm. Perfect, right? So my patient feels rush and staff are stressed. How do I fix this, right? Now,
Mhm.
if a dentist asks themselves, are they going to first be like, well, yeah, well, of course I need a kiosk? Um, Most likely not, right? So then what's the next question someone will ask themselves? If, and again, I have 6 here just for this. It
Yeah.
can be longer, it can be shorter, right? I like to do 6
Yeah.
because 2 creates a good core message. But so what's the next question someone will ask themselves? Like, I have the stress staff.
How can
What's
I
the next
manage
question?
the staff better? And what am I doing that I'm doing wrong managing staff?
Perfect. So after they ask that question, what will be the next question to ask themselves then?
Are there any ways to replace having to pace a person? I don't know, this may be a little bit too leading, but like the people are thinking that forms are a big pain point, having to fill out forms on
Hmm.
paper and dealing with that. Um, what can I do to simplify forms intake by staff or something and patients?
I'm gonna do an intermediate one to jump in.
Yeah.
I would say,
Uh-huh.
are they stressed from the workflow or from the people? Because again, we're trying to differentiate. If they have like, I don't know, Joe Schmo in the front desk and he's a complete jerk,
Yeah.
that might make people stressed, right? And then your kiosk is not going to solve Joe Schmo, right? So
Right, right.
let's assume it's the workflow. Uh,
Okay.
it's the workflow. What
Right.
part of the workflow is causing so much pain, right? So if they're thinking about the workflow, what's the next question they're going to ask?
Forms forms are a huge pain point in dental offices because I don't know, you guys probably go to the doctor or the dentist, you kind of have to fill it out. And now maybe they have tablets or whatnot, but at dentist offices, when they have like surgeries or procedures, it's like you got to have consents and new patient forms, and you want them to be as painless
Mhm.
as possible for everybody.
Oh, cool, cool. And And now we got our value chain. So let's go through this together.
I actually
As
think there's something in there that I want to add is that
yeah,
staff is a big cost center. Like it's like the biggest thing for them, and it's hard to manage them. So it's not even just the workloads or technical tool for them, but can this technical tool make them not have to backfill staff that's hard to manage? Yeah.
perfect. How's that sound right there?
Yeah, that works. Mhm.
Perfect. And again, as you go through this, you can expand this
Sure,
as more
absolutely,
questions and
absolutely.
stuff like that, right? Don't be you see the structure, some people get anchored to the structure. Break the structure, break the rules, break the thing, be ethical, right? But break all the things. Um, and so now let's go through it. My patients feel rushed and staff are stressed. How do I fix this? How can I manage the staff better? What am I doing wrong? They're one of the most expensive aspects of my business. I should probably figure this out. Are they stressed from the workflow? Is it me? Right? It's the workflow. Thank God it's not me. What part of the workflow is causing so much pain? Okay, I've dug into it. Forms are the biggest pain for my staff and it takes the most time to deal with. How can I improve? Is there a tool for this? Oh, I saw this really cool kiosk thing, right? So you see how it sequentially goes through that and goes through the kind of the gates of believing they have to go through. Upon
Right.
seeing this all together, what's your thought on this?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, electronic medical records are supposed to do some of this, but they don't do them very well. So it's just like, what can I do? Like, is there something else that I can do because my electronic medical record is not really working? But anyway, that's a minor thing that's more domain specific. But I do think that the
That
core
domain
message
specific
is
stuff is the most important, by the way. That stuff
okay.
is going to
Okay.
be the things I'll put in here. So actually, positioning to my EHR sucks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's another one, right? Okay. Out of these two, maybe the revenue garden versus my EHR sucks. Which one's the more compelling one for you?
I would say the revenue guardian because the EHR,
Perfect.
like, yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
Mhm.
So as the revenue garden owners acutely aware of cost silence, isn't replied with 5 minutes, operations, lost job, leak in the business pipeline. I think that one's really key right here. Leak in the business pipeline.
And they're not
Would that
good
be
at
true?
business. So, yes.
Yes. Yes, perfect. So awesome. So now what I'm going to do here is for this theme, I have a core message. My patients feel rushed and staff are stressed. How do I manage the staff better? What am I doing wrong? They're the most important aspect of it, right? So if we were to combine those two, forget all this stuff right here, just these two right here. What are you thinking about? Like, what's the core kind of piece that you think would really target your persona of the dentist who is going after the revenue guardian?
Take
It doesn't have to be
staff
like some marketing
management.
thing. It could be like a
Yeah.
very high level.
I mean,
Don't worry about punchy. We'll do punchy later.
okay,
Just the
okay, okay.
core theme.
Yeah, so I would say like relieve the stress of managing staff and having to um appease them and make sure that they're treating patients right or something. I don't know. It sounds a little bit I mean, it doesn't sound really great, but it's basically what you want to do.
There we go. I make an assumption that dentist people, like medical doctors, are very passionate about their career. They did a lot of school, so they went into want to do dentistry. This business stuff is awful for them, right? So
Right,
I'm just gonna say,
exactly.
relieve the stress of managing staff when you just want to practice dentistry,
Yeah, that's way better.
right? Cool. So now let's go to core message two, right? So are they stressed from the people workflow, or is the workflow? Wait, are they stressed from workflow or people? And then is it's the workflow? What part of the workflow is causing the pain? So what's the core message for the revenue guardian that is tied to the workflow?
Yeah, the workflow is really something you need to improve to like especially the I don't know. Improving workflows will help with the ways the staff the operations run.
So I say, I hear all the time that clinical workflow is key to clinic office revenue. But what does that even mean?
Yeah, I would
How's
say.
that sound?
I would say it's like the point that I'm trying to make here is that like workflows are really the core of what dentists need to improve, but they might not think of it that way. They're just stuck in their ways. So they
Yeah,
have to be more convinced that changing the workflow, which is such a core part of what they do, they need to be convinced about that. Especially, so that's why we're targeting dental practice owners that are later in their
perfect. So I
journey.
say,
Yeah.
I hear all the time that clinical workflow is key to clinic office revenue. It's the largest lever for improving margin, and not question mark.
Sure. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then there's a yeah. Mhm.
perfect. Again, very iterative. You want to see why this wrong. Sometimes I'll write something. The writing is the process because you'll see it, the
Yes.
words right in front of your face, and you're like, "Oh, that sounded better in my head. This is awful." I have so many Excel draws of diagrams of things I'm trying to explain that just never see the light of the day. um, and so, finally, core message: forms are the biggest pain for my staff. Takes the most time to deal with. How can I improve? Is there a tool for this? So,
Yes.
go ahead.
Forms are a critical workflow that I can't seem to get right.
Ooh, I love that. All right, what's your CTA call to action for
Yeah, the call
signing
to
up
action
for?
is, yeah, um, my EHR doesn't deliver with forms, and I'm looking for something that could be a do better than my EHR. So I'm looking for a way to op like automate forms or something. I don't know, just like EHR. Yeah, my EHR
Perfect,
today is what everyone's using. Let me see if there's a way to improve upon this process.
perfect, awesome. I'll just do a quick CTA, fix your EHR today. Awesome. So now let's see, like we have our persona, we have our positioning, the revenue guardian, we have our guiding questions and our CTA. So kind of the core thing is I need to relieve the stress of managing staff when you just want to practice dentistry. I hear all the time that clinical workflow is key to clinic office revenue, and it's the largest lever for improving margin. And among that, forms are a critical workflow I can't seem to get right. And if I can solve that, I think I can solve your EHR today.
Okay. Yeah. I would say the CTA needs to be a little bit more tightened. I would say like fixture. It's not the EHR that's like part of what we're doing is we're proposing we've got an EHR that you can use with all these forms. It's more complicated. I'm
Mm,
trying to like explain it a little bit more crisply, but I would say if we just focus on the kiosk software and they already have an EHR they're using, you can just say, um, clean up your front desk operations by booking by choosing software that allows forms to be filled out easily. I don't know. I'm not exactly it's not rolling off the tongue. Maybe that's why AI usually helps with these sorts of things.
to tell you the truth, when it comes to CTAs and things like that, I spend
Yeah.
weeks, sometimes months iterating. There are some
Yeah, I can
CTAs
see
and
that.
positionings I've
Yeah.
spent years on that I've iterated on. So
Okay.
again, it's all part of the
Yeah,
process.
that makes me feel better.
And Mark, just a quick time check is, love to get at least one more volunteer up. So I don't know how you're doing in
Yeah.
terms of like getting to the next step, but just wanted to give you a quick
Perfect.
heads up.
We're at the final step. I was aiming for 7:30. So we're actually at the
Perfect.
final step. So what
Okay.
I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, right? I got the screenshot. Let's go to Gemini. Go chat. Again, I have a positioning matrix like this. I'm gonna put it in my screen, upload files, desktop. Don't, so I have a positioning matrix like this. Don't create content. I need a prompt that will be great for converting this into email drip campaigns. Cool. that looks good enough to me. And the thing is, AI is so quick. I feel comfortable designing rims. Let it go, see what happens. I'm always in the camp of AI can probably do it better than me, so let's see what happens. So I'm gonna throw that in there. I'm gonna turn it into thinking. I'm gonna go add back that context, right? And we'll see what happens. And the thing is, it's probably not gonna be good, but it's enough to get started to start getting iterations and really refining that.
So 5 emails. Is that what you mean by drip campaign?
Yeah. And sometimes I like you can do 3 for each core message. Sometimes I like to do 5 because one of them might be really bad, and so I might want to do that. Perfect. So 5-minute cost of silence. Why 80% drop in conversion starts at front desk. You didn't go to dental school to become a call center manager. You went there to practice industry. The lady feels like practice part is burned out by the management part. Your patients feel rushed. Your staff physically stressed, and you left wondering where the friction is coming from. Here's the thing of it. I think this is probably bad. AI is pretty bad getting the statistics and stuff like that. Every missed call isn't just a ping on a dashboard. It's a lost job. It's a leak in your business pipeline that's costing you 5 figures a month in pure margin when your staff is too overwhelmed to pick up the phone, right? And so we can turn that into a LinkedIn post right then and there. You know your audience well and how to do that. By post that, hoping that a dental person or someone in that would be like, absolutely, I feel that all the time. Like the front desk is so hard. I want to comment in response to that person. But you see, we now have the seeds for like good posts to start like talking to your target persona and getting them interested to talk to you back. And so the flywheel, go ahead.
I said the cool part is that the Reddit post is just like it's sourcing all of this content directly.
Exactly. And so the flywheel then is once you get this going, you then go talk to people. You go back to the matrix, update your priors based on what the new information you have, test out something new, going forth, and next thing you know, you get a really detailed. So I'm 3 years in at Gable with a matrix I'm working with that is very highly tuned. And so like my open rates are 40% on the 4th email in a campaign with a 10% click-through rates. People are actively like, I can't wait to get this marketing email from this guy because it's so tuned to them specifically.
Wow. So you have one source for all that, one list for everybody the last 3 years. That's pretty cool.
Yep. And it's the different matrices and different positionings. And as I iterate, some positionings are wrong. Some positionings are like, this is great for this thing. And you can have one product in multiple positionings too.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Rupa, for putting yourself out there. And thanks, Mark. Let's look at, let's see, we've got, is it Christor, or would you be interested in being a volunteer? Or Ben King, would you be interested?
I can go, yeah.
Okay, great.
What's going on, Chris?
What's going on?
So you're in the hot seat. So give us your quick little pitch. Who's your ICP, your persona, and the target pain?
Yeah. So we're Station Ops. We're building like an AI layer for the cloud that sits between teams and their cloud infrastructure so that application developers can act like cloud engineers, and also sort of non-technical, less technical people on the team can also get, updates, status updates, can see kind of the state of play. So it's sort of a layer between your cloud infra and your team. And sort of the ICP, realistically, in the beginning anyway, is startups that they have taken on some funding. They probably have a bit of money. They want to mature cloud infrastructure and all that. But, rather than hire a bunch of cloud engineers or outsource to a third party, our platform aims to kind of sit in front instead of that.
Perfect. Funny enough, when you were talking about that, my immediate thought is I kind of want that product. So we should probably talk after this. So awesome. So I'm hearing cloud infrastructure, startup. So let's just say your ICP, again, the company is startups who are tech focused, like is it like a software SaaS startup?
Yeah, it wouldn't particularly matter what the startup themselves do, but we found probably SaaS type startups are probably the best suited, really.
Perfect. That makes sense on that front. And then, is there a certain stage of startup? Is it like pre-seed, Series A, Series B?
Yeah, so the seed, because we're at an early stage, so we would love to be the kind of the DevOps kind of manager for Google or whatever, but obviously that's probably not realistic. So the kind of the sizes of companies that would be able to trust something like us is probably, under 20 devs, under 10 devs, kind of relatively small. They probably are thinking about setting up a DevOps function within the company. We want to sort of say, well, you don't have to do that quite yet. We can probably kind of manage most of it for you using our platform.
Perfect. So I have an unfair advantage here because I'm technical. So I heard DevOps, and I know that's the key. I'm already gonna be like, that's the Reddit I go to, is DevOps Reddit. So let's just go there. Again, we're more pressed on time. Let's go to DevOps. And I think DevOps is probably gonna be really good because it's like a specialization within software.
Yeah.
I might have already kind of posted in here too. So we have DevOps, DevSecOps, DevOps jobs. Let's
Mark,
go
did you want
see.
to share your screen too?
That might be helpful.
Huh?
Thank you.
Oh, you bet.
There we go. So we got DevOps. I'm looking at the communities. So again, think about that Goldilocks. 200K might be a lot. 8K might be enough. So let me just go into the smaller group, because I like the smaller group. It's more like community based and less noise. And so what's the problem again? You said cloud infrastructure. So startup. Let's just start up infra. And again, I go to comment count. All right, maybe let's go look up startup. Comment count. Series A investors.
So we can help with SOC 2 deployments, by the way. So it's a good one.
You want to do this one then?
Yeah, we specifically facilitate SOC 2 deployments.
Amazing. That's super hard too. So, I mean, this isn't a sales call, but it's kind of a sales call right now that we should talk. So, awesome. So, Series A investor wants to talk to for a term sheet. We're a fintech startup. We try to sprint through compliance. And I think this is going to be important because, again, the startup itself, these are the questions they're asking themselves too as well. Like if they're a seed company going to Series A, or wherever it may be. David or Boaz, I know you built companies, right? For the infrastructure stuff and building a startup, what are the kind of the questions that you're kind of asking yourself, or your engineers are asking themselves at this early kind of stage?
Yeah, probably the early one is just, is it going to scale? Can we balance between being nimble and, being able to scale down the road? That's one. And then if we weren't in a very verticalized or specialized area, but if one's doing like defense or healthcare, of course, they're going to want much more, like SOC 2 or, ISO and other type of compliance. But so I would say that that's probably like people who start out very specialized. When I built Tiny Pulse, that was not an issue, at least early on, but it became an issue as we became bigger and started working with larger enterprise-based companies.
Perfect. And Chris, does that align kind of your experience as well with the kind of customers you're talking to?
Yeah. Well, the more sassy it is, probably the less they care about cloud infra, and the more they want to spin up something that works. The closer you get to kind of fintech, medtech, more regulated industries, the more worried about compliance that they get, and they want magic words. They want SOC 2, they want ISO, they want GDPR. They kind of just want to be able to slot that in so that when they're talking to their customers, it's just a box that's ticked. And of course, they want the security and the reliability and the scalability that kind of comes with that as well.
Perfect. And that's all even more clues. So highly regulated, needs cloud infrastructure, and is a startup scaling, right? That's all. Like, again, the more you niche down, the more kind of better experiments you can run with your positioning, right? So again, let's just assume this is good for that. And then save. Perfect. And so we have some cheat codes because we've done previous prompts. Come on. Huh, that's so weird. Gemini's being weird for me. There we go. So dental SaaS drip, market research analyst, Reddit data. There we go.
And Chris, while Mark's teamed this up, what stage are you in, and how much market research have you done?
Yeah, so we have a product, it works, it's done deployments. We've got our very first couple of customers, but they've been through our network, if you know what I mean. So we're trying to get into the real world where we persuade strangers to buy our stuff, which is, obviously a lot more difficult than people you kind of know already.
Yeah, well, first, congratulations to get 2 deployments, and now definitely know what you mean. You want to get a repeatable sales motion so you can scale.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. So now we got that core friction between investor expectations and enterprise grade security, held together hopes and prayers, solo sec overload, breaking prod. These all seem like key terms for that. So the 3 we have is the overwhelmed solo sec and DevOps lead, the high pressure founder CEO, and the skeptical veteran engineer. Do those personas kind of align with what you see?
Yeah, I've met all those people for sure.
So trick question then is, which one is your favorite one to talk to, and which ones do you think is the one going to buy from you? Sometimes they don't align.
Yeah, like for some reason the person that's most likely to buy for some reason strikes me as the CEO kind of avatar there, just because I think that the skeptical veteran hates anything new. They want to do everything themselves. We've run into him before. And the overwhelmed solo sec DevOps lead is probably a skeptical veteran anyway, and they probably don't want anyone infringing on their turf per se, and they want to do everything themselves. So probably is the CEO that is fed up of things being pushed back over and over again, and they want something to work today.
Perfect. That sounds good. Awesome. The competition gap, blah, blah, blah. Let's just go in with this one. So say copy. Where is the chat window? There we go. Gemini just had enough of me today. I like the persona. Okay, chat. I like the persona, high pressure CEO. Write a brief description of this persona. And we're going through this pretty quick, so I'm not going through the same level of detailed questions, but you get the process and you kind of repeat that. There you go. Perfect. So high pressure CEO, leader, fast growing bootstrap. Oh, let me go take a step back. Based on the Reddit comments, you want to anchor that context, because sometimes that's how it starts hallucinating.
It's a good call out.
And you see it's like completely different now. Now that it's like angled towards that. So I'm just going to copy and paste all of this in here. It's going to be rather large, but again, just moving quickly. Put that in there. Oh my, that is large. I'm just going to go delete all of that right there. Okay. So we got some personas in there. Let's go back to there. So we have the funding wall, facing non-negotiable Series A investor, the growth paradox, the negotiator, the revenue driver, or the realist. Which kind of persona in this is the one that calls out to you the most?
I'd say it's probably the funding wall / the customer wall, where they need some sort of regulatory approval, or their compliance is sort of blocking them from doing stuff. Especially in like medtech, you'll see that they can't make a sale unless they have certain sort of compliance standards in place. So it'll be just It'll just be a part of what they have to do to kind of progress.
Perfect. So let's just do the funding wall. Let's go back to here. I realized I skipped a step, and that's why there was so much in there. The funding wall, and they are in highly regulated industry where this is table stakes. Perfect. So what's your value prop? Is we handle regulated cloud infra managed for you. That'd be about right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So thinking about through this, and we have the target persona, we have the CEO, and then positioning the funding wall. Okay, cool. So we actually have two founders here who have done this. So maybe you can actually do the user interview thing. So maybe David, I'm gonna put you in the hot seat. You have to get SOC 2 to make a key deal go forward, right? What's the first question or symptom that pops up that makes you start asking these questions?
To my own team?
To yourself.
How quick can I get this so that I can check that box and move on to other parts of the negotiations and win the contract?
Perfect. SOC 2, so I can do higher leverage work for closing deal. Okay, perfect. Awesome. And so now they're like, okay, I need to solve this SOC 2 problem. Going back to you, Chris, is when they're like, all right, I'm spending time in the SOC 2 thing. What's the symptom of the SOC 2 aspect of it that's going to make them put this as a priority? They're a CEO. That's so many other things to do. It's on the top of their list. How?
Yeah, I suppose a symptom would be deals getting stalled. Yeah. The customer's compliance team will call them up.
Perfect. So I'll say deals can be installed. Why? Compliance team is not happy in the due diligence. How can we fix this? Perfect. And so the next question then is all right, how can I fix this? What's the next question they're going to realize? Because they're not going to be how do I fix this and be I need cloud infra, right? They're thinking SOC 2.
Yeah. How can I fix this? Well, they're going to have to go to some sort of standards board or whatever to get their compliance certification. And one of the things that standards sort of committee or whatever you want to call it will ask is, what about their cloud infrastructure? And they or the customer might ask for proof of that as well.
Perfect. So maybe the next question is what do I need to implement today, and what can be a later problem? Right. David, would that align with how you think as a CEO, meaning just focus on what's most important right now?
Yeah, and also is if I'm in danger of losing a potential prospect, even if I can say back in the day, you never get fired for hiring IBM, is if I could say I'm working with X, right? It's going to get done in 2 weeks, or I'm working, something like that will at least I'd be willing to pay a premium to get that halo effect, to keep that deal alive, and hopefully have certainty that I'm going to be able to get that compliance that they need.
Perfect. There's probably more in between, but for the sake of time, we're going to say, how quick can I check the box for SOC 2 so I can work on more higher leverage things for this deal? Deals keep on getting stalled. Why? Well, when you go to the compliance team, they're not happy in due diligence. So what do we need to do to fix this? Well, what standards do they look for best practice? Okay, there's a whole bunch of standards. Oh my gosh. What do I need to implement today, and what can be a later problem? Okay, so I have to make a decision. What can I do to reduce the risk of this key decision? They talk about one-way doors and two-way doors. Value prop. Well, we can handle, if we get cloud infra that always handles the SOC 2 and regulation piece of it, I don't have to think about it, and I can show social proof with that. So let's go with that, right? Would that align with kind of what you've seen in potential sales calls?
Yeah, that all looks good.
Cool. Awesome. So then we go to the core message, and I'm gonna try to do this in 2 minutes, so we have 10 minutes at the end. So I'll be very quick here. So how quick can I check the box for SOC 2? Deals keep on getting stalled. Do your deals keep getting stalled due to SOC 2 requirement checks? Right. Next one, compliance team is not happy due to diligence. How can we fix this? What compliance standards do security teams really care about? Right? And then we need to implement something today, or what can you implement today? What can we do later? What can I do to reduce the risk? Is security a build or buy solution? Yeah. Hint, buy. I have an unfair advantage of this because I go through these decisions myself. So, but so let's say our core message is, as the CEO who is having this funding wall, having deals go through, do your deals keep on getting stalled due to SOC 2 requirement checks? What compliance standards do security teams really care about? Is security a build or buy solution for that? And then the CTA would be demo our cloud today.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And as you see, next step, copy and paste. Well, we have that. Let's go to Gemini real quick.
And Chris, while he's doing that, are you the solo founder, or you have a team?
It's myself, my brother, our co-founders, and then we have some people helping us out. We're the kind of core of the team.
Got it. Cool.
But I have a background in sort of med tech, so kind of we're very used to this sort of nonsense of spending years and years kind of going through due diligence and different standards and stuff like that. So yeah, I felt the pain of dealing with this in a more manual basis. So we try to automate it essentially as much as possible.
Yeah. And while he's doing that, I think one of the things that's interesting is listening to a healthcare CEO talking about how more and more people are using personal LLMs to take their health information right outside their walled garden because they just want faster access. I wonder if that won't be a headwind or tailwind for your industry moving forward, and hopefully it'll be a tailwind.
Yeah. Well, you'd worry about people using things like LLMs for any sort of medical advice that, especially if they don't have the context of their medical records and stuff plugged in, who knows what would be coming out.
Yep. So small thing here. I ran out of thinking credits using AI pretty heavily. I'm gonna try again with the pro model. There we go. Update.
I did not know that Gemini's credits were gated by each one of the, like Claude, you just like your limit's up. You have to wait till 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. I did not know that, you could do different stratas within Gemini.
Perfect. So this one's feel a lot better. Are SOC 2 requirements stalling your Series A? If you're going after kind of people so what I would do, like say for instance, I was like, go on Crunchbase, wherever it is, and find every company that's currently in seed for more than a year, right? And then find all those emails and then send out a drip campaign with these things, right? But you see, like when you're a highly regulated industry, such as medicine, SOC 2 is table stakes. And it can be challenging if you're hitting the exact same funding wall we see constantly, right? you need to get back to higher leverage work to close the round, not get back down security audits. And then you can kind of add your other things, right? But you see, you have like your kind of talking points to go through all this, right? So yeah, that's the process. I guess. What are your thoughts upon seeing this?
Yeah, no, it's very good. Yeah, we kind of deal with trying to give the LLM kind of context in a lot of ways, but I think this idea of like going to Reddit to kind of actually just get a head start on what are people actually asking, not only for the email, but especially, again, we're trying to do more on LinkedIn, do posting on LinkedIn, and coming up with ideas for valuable LinkedIn posts is it's pretty difficult. So that's kind of a
Super
bit of a
hard.
game changer. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, glad I can help. And I'll hand over to David.
Yeah, well, thanks for Chris following up with Rupa on the hot seat. That's fantastic. And just on the super small side is if your question didn't get, we'll try to take some Q&A, but if it didn't get answered, just post in our community. You can scan the QR code and we'll try to get to all of them. And then, of course, the recording will be sent out. And, if you like the community and what you feel and you like the accountability, then please consider joining as a subscriber. And then on Mark's side, there's his LinkedIn. So hopefully you'll be 65,002 or one follower. There's his website, and he's developing a hellogtm.dev course, which, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, it's patterned around what we're doing and what we're learning together right now.
Yes, and it goes more so full end to end beyond just this, but then actually how you build your drip campaigns, how you do emails, all those different things.
Awesome.
And basically going from ideation to first customer.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be hot. So now let's open it up to, we've got 5 minutes for questions. People can put it in the Q&A and or the chat, and I'm monitoring both of those right now. Let's see. And while I'm taking a look at it, Mark, I would just, I'm curious, would you counsel everyone when they have like a business idea or business thesis just to go through your process, just because one, it's third party, so it's not as, well, yes, there's a negativity bias on Reddit, but it just seems like now that I see it, I'm like, man, that's so efficient to do it that way. Would you counsel everyone to do that?
I will cancel to people to do what gives you momentum. And so what I found is most people get stuck. They're like, oh, what do I post? And they get into analysis paralysis. This is not to do the best market research. It is to bust through your analysis paralysis so you can do the work to do the good market research, right? So if you already have a system that's working, keep on doing that. Explore the Reddit thing. Maybe do the long-term play where you start embedding yourself in communities, right? But if you find yourself stuck, this is a great quick way to kind of jumpstart yourself and get past kind of that, give you some more kind of fuel to keep on going and figure out what's the next step.
Yeah.
The entrepreneurship game is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, exactly. And then for the two examples and mine also at SuperSmall and Rupa and Chris, what when you say, hey, put in a drip campaign, well, one, you could do it in LinkedIn and do some posts, but if you actually did it in an email, because I have some emails, is there a preferred vendor that you like? Do you like to wrap it in a CRM with HubSpot, or how should we think about that?
Yeah, so that's something that's really dependent. So I can tell you what I use for my stack for this when I first started. I
Yeah.
use HubSpot because it has the most integrations with tools natively, so it's easy to manage the data. That's context that you can put into an LLM or tool for MCPs. So that's very important. And then I use Apollo on top of it. It's a sales tool, but because our lead list was so small in the beginning, we abused it as a marketing tool just to do drip campaigns. But then we got to a point where we had too many leads, good problem to have, and it was taking 3 days for it to send all the emails. And so we had to switch to MailChimp. And that's what we did to do the emails for that. I think the biggest thing is that we're inbound. So that's what we have a lot of like reach for that sense. If you're doing more outbound, this is where the targeting becomes even more important, because then you can start testing outbound sequences to be like, here's this positioning with this persona and this core message sequence. How did it perform? Oh, it
Yeah.
performed poorly? Okay, why? Okay, this one performed great. Cool, it's had great open rates, but horrible click-through rates. What is happening here, right? So now you're starting to get data and structure to start teasing out, understand why this didn't work.
Yeah. And Ben King had a question. Is there a way to access the matrix template? I would like to do this exercise. This was very helpful.
Yeah, so I'll just take a screenshot of this. I had
And we can
one of
include it
them.
in the email follow-up as well, if that's, or
Yeah, here we go. Take a screenshot of this, and I'll email it to David and Boaz, and then y'all can send it out.
okay, sounds great. And I think we have time for one more question, and this one is Imran. What's the best tool for email leads in our respective focus area? Mine's Data Fabric.
Ooh, that's a good question. They're like leapfrogging a lot right now. So what I specifically look for is a tool that uses what's called the waterfall method. There are a whole bunch of things like Zoom Info, Apollo, different things. They all have different data and they all have overlaps and mismatches. The waterfall method goes to one and then goes to the next and goes to the next and fills in the data. And so I would just say tool, they all change, but if they use the waterfall method, that's gonna give you the best bang for your buck.
And is the waterfall method, is it a daisy chain of all these tools, or is it within the tool, like there's like a specific setting?
It's within the tool. They'll call it out as a feature.
Okay. Okay. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Super
In
helpful.
the old days, you had to go use Zoom Info and give them like 30K. So it's
Yeah.
kind of wild.
Yeah. So I wanted to just say, hey, thank you so much, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Please follow Mark because, as you can tell, he's going to be extremely successful in doing what he's doing and helping now technical people avoid that YC letdown that he had. But truly, you're inspiring in terms of turning lemons into lemonade and using that as inspiration to drive yourself forward and start your next business.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you everyone for taking time. 6 to 8 o'clock on a Wednesday, wild. So I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.